of course, this is Bezalel Smotrich. A few years ago, he was arrested for amassing large quantities of explosives. Not sure what he wanted to do with that, but quickly rehabilitated himself, worked his way up the ranks of the Jewish Home Party to the point where now he's a member of Knesset and, in fact, the deputy speaker of the Knesset. If you can imagine that. Now, this man, Bezalel Smotrich, every few years we see like a series of articles in Israeli newspapers. It's like we all of a sudden remember that another aspect of society is segregated. Another part of the country is there's Jews and Arabs are separated by race, or religion, and the most recent, and then of course we forget all about it, we do nothing about it, and then a few years later we remember it all over again. The most recent example of this was a few months ago. It was reported in Israeli newspapers that 6 different hospitals around the country were segregating maternity wards by race. Jewish women in one area, Arab women in another area, not in the same room and not in the same ward. Now, of course, this is such blatant racism that many people were appalled by it, but not Bezalel Smotrich. Hells no. He was perfectly happy to defend it publicly. What he said was, my wife would not want to lie next to a baby that might murder her baby. Okay? This is where we're at. Might murder her baby. A baby will murder her baby. This is the kind of mentality. This is the kind of discourse. Now, Bezalel Smotrich, this talk about babies being culpable, this comes straight out of Torat HaMelech. I don't know if you're familiar with this book. I've spoken about it a few times. The King's Torah. This became a bestseller in Israel in 2010 when a rabbi wrote a theological treatise. He asked the question, under what circumstances is a Jew allowed to kill a non-Jew? Well, he came to the conclusion, after some deliberation, that in fact there is justification for killing babies if it is clear that they will grow up to harm us. This is the conclusion the book comes to. Now, it's not only words. There's actions. These things have an effect on society. People read this and they learn, okay, well, the rabbis say it's okay. That means I can go out and do it. And in fact, just in the last year and a half, we have Jewish Israelis going out and firebombing the home of a Palestinian family in the West Bank and killing a father, mother, and a 1-year-old baby. The government wasn't prepared to do anything about it. It's only because, again, a Palestinian legislator in the Israeli Knesset, he sued the government. He went to the Supreme Court demanding that the government do something about it and bring the perpetrators to justice. So finally, forced to do so by the judicial arm of the government, the Israeli government put them on trial. He found the perpetrators, the alleged perpetrators, brought them to court. But there's no shame around it, okay? For those perpetrators, you would think that maybe there'd be some sense of shame, some being, doing some soul searching about it. No, the friends of those alleged firebombers, those alleged murderers of the Palestinian family, their friends come to the court and throw down gang signs. They're not talking about West Coast when they put up 3 fingers, okay? They're not trying to do a W. The 3 fingers that they throw up are for the 3 Palestinians that were murdered, the father, mother, and the baby. They were boasting about it. They were proud of it. They were showing off. They were saying, in your face, we got them, all 3. This is how their acts of sadistic violence are praised. And it's not only that one incident, it wasn't only in the courts. It was also in the wedding halls. In Jerusalem, you have wedding halls and settlers holding, celebrations for their friends and family who are joining in matrimony. And what do in their joyous celebrations? They hold up photos of that 1-year-old baby that they burned to death, and they take knives and they stab the picture. They hold pistols and they hold rifles and they hold what look like, what are supposed to be Molotov cocktails, like the one they used to burn that family, and they hold up the cocktails, and they hold up the pictures of Ali Dawabsha, and they dance, and they sing, and they praise Jah. And this is how they celebrate life. And who else is dancing at these weddings? Who else is celebrating at these Jerusalem wedding halls? I see this man, he's a very high-ranking officer in the Israeli army, and I see here he's dancing with this religious rabbi, and that they've switched hats. He put on his fedora, and this rabbi put on his army beret. Who are these people? Well, this man is no less than Rafi Peretz, then chief rabbi of the Israeli army. And who is this man? No less than Yitzchak Shapira, the very rabbi who authored that book, that Gentile murdering manual, Torat HaMelech. Here they are whipping it up at Yitzchak Shapira's kid's wedding. So, is this the message that you want to send to the Israeli society? That Gentile murdering manual authors should be celebrated and be respectable members of society? Yes, apparently so. There is justification for killing babies. Also this year, the largest concert hall in liberal Tel Aviv. Okay? The largest concert hall, the largest Jewish religious group in the world, Chabad, decides to hold a massive celebration there at the concert hall. And who do they get to be their guest speaker, their speaker of honor, but this man, Yitzchak Ginsburg. And who's he? The very rabbi who lent his religious authority to that book, Torat HaMelech, who gave his hechsher, his stamp, his seal of approval, saying, yes, this follows all the rules of Judaism. This is a correct interpretation of Judaism. There is justification for killing babies. Babies. Of course, not everyone who wears a kippah is going to say that or think that or feel that. Yes, Elazar Stern, a centrist member of parliament, a religious man, he said, he sternly criticized that book, the King's Torah. He too was disgusted by it, okay? But when he had the courage to come out and say something, that he stood against it, well then this man, Rami Brachiahu, said, you should go to jail, you should be charged, you should be convicted, you should be punished for daring to criticize the King's Torah. And so what happened to Rami Brachiahu? Did he become persona non grata? Was he shamed out of public office? No, just the opposite. After he made those comments, he was made chief rabbi of the Israeli police. Chief rabbi of the army, chief rabbi of the police, and we continue now to the chief rabbi of Israel itself, of the state, Yitzchak Yosef, who earlier last year said, according to Jewish law, it is forbidden for a non-Jew to live in the land of Israel. These are the religious leaders of the country. The eliminationist camp is in charge.